Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Software Testing Mentor and RCV Academy. Today, we are again here with Aminul Khan for another software testing interview. Aminul has been in software testing for more than 3 years now. He has been into manual testing and API testing. So let's welcome Aminul. How are you, Aminul?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So you are all good to get started with this mock interview?
Yes,
Cool.
yes,
So, Aminul, before we start, I would also like to mention that this video will be posted on the YouTube channel for other viewers to have a look. Are you fine with that?
yes.
Cool. All right. So, let's
Okay.
start with the very first and basic question that you will be faced in almost every software testing interview. So, tell me something about yourself, Aminul.
I thank you, Manish. So first of all, I have to mention in our culture, in USA culture, we call teacher as a Manish, like name. I don't know, it's something different in Australia or somewhere because in Bengali culture we call Sar, but here our teacher we call as a name.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah,
that's
because
kind of
it's
easy thing here.
in Australia, it's same. I think it's overall globally now. You have to
Oh, yeah, it's
uh,
really same,
you
right?
have to speak with the
Yes,
name,
thank
first
you.
name of the person. So absolutely
Yeah.
fine. Call me Manish.
Because when I went to their school and I was a stranger, why everyone started the call the name, but my colleague students say no, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I have to disclose first. So my name is Aminul Khan, and I'm a software tester. I used to. I started my life from UTest. I believe you know that or not. This is a big freelance testing platform in
Yeah.
USA,
Yeah.
and I just started from test and first after I take this lots of course and I spent more than 1.5 year in technology learning because I had a bachelor with a different background from back home.
Yeah.
So when I came here and I tried to build my IT career, and it just I have from 2015 I started my journey and still I am working as a part-time freelancer here, and I'm a gold rated tester and you only test now. So that's first thing I have to mention. And now I am working almost 3 years. I work three different companies. So my basically I believe and my all of the job I do most of the time regression testing.
Okay.
So on my company, so I work as a Dignity Healthcare. There's a California-based company, and all of my TTL and everyone push me with regression. There, as mentioned, I can do some good regression testing. That's why. So my job is the testing my healthcare system all from first to last, everything as a manual tester. It's complete manual testing, but we have lots of automation tester. But manual testing, we have a good team too. So we work there. So still we every month, single month, we can new build, and I do some mobile testing too on my. We have apps and the name My Care and web. This is the Dignity Health Inc. So there is a lots of that there is a healthcare system website. So patient can there is a patient portal, there is a doctor portal. Patient can come in, patient can check in, patient can make an online schedule, patient can make a phone schedule, everything. And patient can pay their bill. I mean, insurance can contact it, and insurance can connect in this website. The whole is the largest system, all kind of transaction, even payments, everything.
Yeah.
So I do most of the time regression testing here, but I do some API testing. So I do sometimes I do mobile testing, but on mobile testing I do most of the iOS testing. And when I
Okay.
do use the iOS testing, I will use the Charles proxy. There is a proxy log, I believe that. So with the Charles proxy and for NDA testing, we sometimes do NDA debugging bridge. And I had some bank experience. I used to work in the bank. More than 1 year, I used to work in the bank. So here I did the same thing like manual testing, SEH, bank test for buttons for those things. And
Okay.
basically, is a tools Iraq most of the time. And there is another tool. There is a test rail, and so few of my colleague there use a different tool. But I'll go to the Jira lab. So that's all for now, and I'll go further when you ask me the question.
Yeah, excellent. So I think I like the way you have explained your overall, journey and your achievement, especially the U test achievement that you have mentioned. It is very good. So whenever somebody asks this question, the whole point is they want to understand your journey and your achievements, basically, right? So if you highlight your achievements as you have already did in U test case, that's absolutely fantastic, right? The other feedback on this question I have is try to make it a little bit crisp. So it should not be too verbose. So maybe, like you can reduce the time a little bit and try to have more of the highlights of the project. But you have covered very good points because this is the question which makes the first impression. And if you answer the way that you have done, just with little bit of modifications there, this is what interviewer will be looking for, right? So absolutely fantastic there.
Yes.
Good.
One, one more thing. So I've been more than 1,000 projects on UTest, and
That's
most of
yeah,
functional testing I done,
right. That's absolutely fantastic
and
because
all the customer rating me and
right. So this is these. So any highlights, any achievements that you have done in any project, always mention those. So your highlights of the project should be the first thing you should be mentioning, that this is what value I brought in to that project, right? Because there are thousands and thousands of people applying for the job. What different can you bring, right? So you are gold rated tester, you have worked on 1,000+ projects. These are the first things you should mention. I'm expert in manual testing, API testing, and I prove this with the credentials that I hold. I have done 1,000+ projects. I'm a gold rated tester, right? So this proves that you are not just saying for the sake of it. You basically have the credentials to prove it, right? So if you have the credentials, you should always go ahead and mention those. Okay. So make a point of the credentials, because whatever you have explained in each and every project, you have done really good work. Like you have mentioned about the regression. So if somebody looks to you as a regression tester, then you might be having very good understanding of the application, and you can figure out if there are certain changes in a particular area, what regression test cases you will be picking up, right? So highlight those points, that I have deep understanding, or I am a quick learner, I have deep understanding about the product, and I can pick and choose the right regression set for any of the product that I'll be working with, right? So, but overall, really really nice. So I'm happy about it. Okay, just make sure that you incorporate the points that I have mentioned. Okay. All right. So moving to the next question, can you explain a little bit more about your recent project, just the recent one, and your responsibilities in that project?
yeah. Yeah, recent one. I mentioned my first question. It was Dignity Health. It's a complete service of healthcare, and we accept in our system all kind of most of kind of is accepted insurance. There is a portal. Customer can log in. Customer can make a doctor schedule. Customer can go online, make there any payment. Insurance can connect with our, the how they connect with API. So
Yeah.
insurance can connect with our system, and lots of all kind of health portal. This is Dignity Health, and I do we every month we have new build, and there is one another mobile apps related with in our system. It's called My Care app. So I do only iOS part using Charles Proxy. I test most of the time I do regression, but sometimes I do exploratory. Sometimes my TTL said go do exploratory everything. So I do exploratory testing most. And most of the time my responsibility is especially fix the bug. They give me a long test case sheet, like in a Google sheet, there will be more than 90 or 50 test case, and there is a three option. One is pass, one is fail, and one is not applicable. So I have to do it right away, as early as possible, because build is waiting for release. So my responsibility is, if you send the responsibility as early as possible to test those and fill up the sheet and let them know, then I did my testing. So every 30, every, you can say every 20 day we can, but it's like not like they all build came the change. No, sometimes the same build came in and they're like, I do the most of the time after fixing the bug. They are very dedicated to do that manually, and there is a regression testing. So my responsibility is test as early as possible and let them know, is there any bug, or is it okay to go to the market. Thank you.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you very much. And you mentioned about exploratory testing. Can you elaborate a little bit on the exploratory testing that you do?
Exploratory testing means there is no specific test case. All the website you have to explore, and I basically I started from my in my company. I started it from create a new account,
Hmm.
and I started from login, and
Yeah.
I end of the at least end of that there is a privacy enable accessibility. You know, they are all healthcare website now. USA has accessibility, so I go to enable accessibility, disable accessibility, car kit, toolkit, privacy policy,
Hmm.
every single on the footer we have maybe 20 more than 20 to 25 footer like to press kit, toolkit, everything. I have to check everything. Is there any error in every page redirected to there? So those the kind of exploratory I do.
Okay.
Basically, to be honest, on the first page, I don't get any bug or something. But when you go inside or footer, there's lots of bug. Especially, page not found is very common,
Yeah.
because we are connected in lots of, like if you go to any doctor, any ambulatory center, any hospital, when you redirect that, there is a lots of mismatch. Like page not found is very common on my exploratory.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I
Okay.
always file the bug and tell them link is broken, something like this. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Can you explain a little bit about what is API testing?
API testing is application programming interface. So it's like a API is the logic written by developer with connect to the another software or another application. Like think about Priceline. Here is a Priceline or
Yeah.
Expedia.
Yeah.
When you search the Expedia any flight from New York to Sydney, so they pull up the lots of airlines, like
Yeah.
American Airlines, Canadian Airlines, something like this. So those the way they connect with API, because developer wrote some logic, so they can connect with the another those things are API. So most of the time I use the a very common tool here is Postman. It's a REST API.
Yeah.
So we use the Postman. We can I can write the push, delete, and something like this. These are the four options. So most common. So I use the Postman tools and I work, but the rest of my colleague they use the different lots of tools. But I love the Postman. It's easy, and I believe it's less stressful. And you know, nowadays in US API testing is the hot cake. Everyone use the API. Even people, lots of companies, they are hiring also only API tester. So that's why my interest, and I do some voluntary. I'll go there, go to Postman and work, and I believe I can do something. And hopefully, I have a like ambition. I'll go to the whole API. But more than 70% API is the REST API, because REST API there is the advantage. It can go every data like HTML, JSON, everything. But I believe REST only go to HTML. So that's why people love most of them the REST API. So soup is maybe less than 20% or something like this. So
Yeah.
because only web application, that's all.
Yeah. So that will be that's my next question. So you explained about the API testing in very good way. Uh, and I was about to give you the same example of the airlines, like Expedia you mentioned. That's very good example. Like when you have 15 different airlines and Expedia is an aggregator, right? Where they will show you the price of all 15, whatever number of websites they have. So whatever number of airlines there are.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
when Expedia is showing you all those results, they are basically calling the APIs exposed by those airlines. So, and those APIs could be, written in, or it could be, like SOAP or REST. So it depends. And when you have those APIs, then application or the aggregator, which in your case you explained about the Expedia, they can simply provide or put in the data and send that data in form of XML or JSON format, and get the response from those specific airlines and show you the price of specific airlines. So very good example. And I always mention in my interviews that always come up with the example which you are doing very well. So well done on that. Now moving to the next question, can you explain the difference between SOAP and REST as well?
Yeah, I believe I covered partially your question. And REST is most of the REST run with all data like HTML, JSON, every format, and SOAP run with only HTML. So and
It's
REST, most of the REST has
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
most of the REST tools are very expensive, I believe, and API tools are least expensive. REST tools are least expensive, and I think the so it's like a kind of like a Java, like open source API. Most of the time you can say open source. REST is the open source, and best big difference between I got that it can run with every data format. That's the big difference in my sense. And there is a lots of I mentioned it before, more than 70% people use REST API.
Yeah. Okay. So you are partially correct there. Some points are correct, but then some points are not correct in the difference. So I would like to clarify that it's HTTP. So both communicate over HTTP and not HTML. So HTML is the web page design, right? So HTML language.
Sorry,
HTTP. So SOAP and REST both are, so SOAP is a protocol and REST is an architectural style. It's not a protocol. Okay. Then you can also mention about
okay,
what SOAP
yeah,
stands for. So SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, and REST stands for Representational State Transfer. So couple of things, couple of, 3, 4 points you can just Google around and mention those points. And then the other important or other very important thing about SOAP and REST is that REST is lightweight as compared to SOAP. Okay, so that's another important point that you can mention.
okay,
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 but if you Google around, you will find lots and lots of
okay,
differences that you can explain. For a software tester, you need to understand the basic differences so that you can, when you are accessing a SOAP web service, you know what you need to do or in order to test that. And when you are accessing the REST web service, then you need to know what you can do with that, right? So that's the only difference. So REST will be very similar to like accessing a website, right? So you have www.google.com and then forward slash, if you say travel, so it will open the travel page. So REST will be something very similar to accessing the website. The only difference is in the website you have the web interface that an end user or we as a user can have a look. But when we talk about these services, it is the communication a medium for the two servers, two applications. Okay, so that's a bit of clarification there. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is about equivalence partitioning. So what do you understand by equivalence partitioning? Can you provide me one of the example?
Equivalent partition is like something like is a boundary. So think about like calendar. If you want to put, if you want to develop a calendar, the December. So we have the end December is 31, and we have starting with uh, 1st December. So partition equivalent partitioning is a boundary like if you select like system will next not accept -1 or system will not accept 32 because there is no 32 December here. So same thing is like a think about like that there is a transaction is there is an e-commerce website, there is a limitation like you can buy five more than five item at a time, or you can add to cart more than five. So if you want to add a cart six, the system will not allow this. So those things I believe is equivalent partitioning. So developer can write the test like their system will not allow the after boundary or below boundary. That's my understanding of equivalent partitioning. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong.
So I think you got confused with boundary value analysis and equivalence partitioning. Both go hand in hand, but what you have explained, it's more of a boundary
Okay.
value. So you have explained about the boundary value. When we say
Yes,
equivalence
we have right.
partition, so say for example, you have a website, an e-commerce website, and there are different discount percentage for the purchases. Say, for example, up to $100, there is 5% discount. Up to from 101 to $200, there is 10% discount. From 201 to $500, there is 15% discount. So when we segregate these logical partitions, right, and we pick the
Okay.
test cases, or we
Yes.
pick the data within those partitions to verify that when I pick or when I do a purchase of $100, only 5% discount is given to me. Okay. When I do a purchase of $50, I get 100, I get
Okay.
5% discount. When I do purchase of $150, I get 10% discount. Right. So these are equivalence partitions. So percentage wise, I have divided into different partitions,
Okay.
right? And then the second part is boundary value
Partition. Yes.
analysis,
Get you.
which you
I
have
get you.
mentioned already.
Okay. Get you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both go hand
Thank
in
you.
hand. It's not separate. Both of these techniques, test design techniques, go hand in hand. All right. Cool. So let's move to the next question. Can you explain me what is requirement traceability matrix and the and why is it required? What is its importance?
It's RTM is a tools. So basically, when any customer gather all requirements same place, so developer or tester, our job is the implement all requirement on the system. So so this is the tool, so we can trace easily trace all requirement. Is there any requirement missing, or is there any requirement, is there any defect on requirement? So this, yeah, I believe it's like a template, or it's like a sheet, so we can put all the requirement. I think there is a lots of tools in market you can buy and something for a matrix. So requirement traceability matrix is a sheet, or it's a template where we can gather all requirement and we can execute all those. And it's very important to meet all requirement. It's I believe you ask me why it's required. Yes, it's required for meet all the requirement, because is there any requirement missing, so there is a bad impact might become. So trace requirement is the one of the uh, big responsibility as a tester. So
Yeah.
it's very important. Yes.
Yeah. So, so just to add to that point, you have mentioned a couple of good points there, but you forgot to mention that we have to map the test cases, test execution. So basically, when we have the requirements, so say for example, we have four requirements, we have to map the test cases that we have written to those requirements. So that what this shows is that we are not
Yes.
missing on testing on any of those requirements, right? So
Yes.
this just add this point as well, that when you say requirement traceability, so you have the requirements, and then how the overall testing that you are doing for those requirements is fulfilling those requirements. And when you have the test cases mapped to those requirements, you will be able to understand that you haven't missed on any of the test cases. Is that fine?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I got it.
yeah. And you also mentioned that there are tools available. So you can mention that Zephyr is very popular nowadays, which is used. And Zephyr is a plugin within Jira. So you can have or generate automated traceability. So there is forward traceability and backward traceability. So forward traceability is from the requirements down to defects,
Gotcha.
and backward traceability is when you raise a defect, how that defect, to which test case that defect is related, and then which how that test case is related to requirement. So that's backward traceability, right? So Zephyr provides this forward and backward traceability automatically. So if you link your defects and test cases properly, automatically you'll get all these requirement traceability. But many people
All right.
do it in Excel,
Gotcha.
which is overhead. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Whoever
Any?
don't use that.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I said whoever not use any tools, they use Excel or Google Sheets, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Any questions? Any clarifications till now?
Oh no, I'm clear. I got
Okay.
everything.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next question. Say, for example, you are testing an application and you found a defect. What key information you will include in the defect template when you are raising the defect? Some of the key information. I don't want the whole list, just few key information that you will include.
So first of all, I will mention the device, what kind of device I'm using, and where I got the, because uh, it's Windows or Mac or iOS or something like this.
Yeah.
Second, I will mention the browser, is Mozilla or Google Chrome or something. And third, I will mention the location, I believe, like where it is, like those three things I have to mention, and then I will write the template or title.
Right. So location
Anything else?
as in environment, right? Which environment is it? Test environment or
Yes.
like that? Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So yeah, three key
Yeah,
information there.
exactly.
Yeah.
I meant the
Yeah. Okay. What
yeah.
about
Go ahead.
uh, steps to reproduce expected result, actual result? Will you include any attachments?
Yes, of course. So basically, different issue reporting. So as you know, I work with different companies. So first, I will read the all issue reporting instruction. So
Mm-hmm.
most of company here I work, they have one common instruction. You have to upload the video.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to completely. You have to match the your action perform, like step to reproduce. Like there is, if any mismatch, they will not allow your bug. So and there is a, we work a different platform, have to have convert your video MP4, because they can easily
Yeah.
watch the video.
Yeah.
You have to attach the screenshot, and you have to mark the round the screenshot, make your arrow, where is your defect you are finding. And if any crash, you have to provide the crash log. And most of the thing for web testing, I use Google Tools, and I go to the console, and I took the console picture,
Yeah.
and I use the another tools called Lightshot, and I mark it using Lightshot. And my when I reporting the bug, my intention is there is no issue that my TTL or developer can text me back and ask this, attach something more, or I'm not clear. I don't like this. I want to. However, I will put the action reproduce. First, I will mention the complete URL. Then I will say to go to this, click on this, click on this, click on this. Then I will attach the picture and videos. So all of my intention, nobody can reply me. If you want to accept bugs, fix it, then let me know. I can test again, retest. I wait for retest. So, but few exception every there, a few
Yeah.
some crazy tutorial, they let ask the information. Uh, so that's the all. And
Yeah.
for issue reporting instruction, I want to be clear. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in the second part, you have mentioned the key things about the defect. So when somebody asks you this question, try to include whatever you have explained in the second part, like you create videos, you take screenshot, you mention all the steps in the primary answer itself, right? So because the overall answer that you have gave about the defect is the good practice that every tester should follow, right? So you take videos, you take screenshot, you attach logs. So you have mentioned all the key information that needs to go there in a defect. Okay, so very very impressive there. So I mean, attaching the video is something going an extra mile, because even I usually don't do attach the videos. I most of the time attach the screenshots. So, but it's very good point. Like you mentioned that your developers don't come back to you, and that's the whole point of raising good defects, that developers should understand what you're trying to say in a defect, and they should be able to fix it, reproduce it, and fix it. If they are getting back to you, it's killing their time and it's killing your time. So writing defect in the way, in a proper way, is very very important. So very nice. Okay, so let's move on. Can you explain about defect severity and priority with one example?
So, severity and priority. To be honest, to pick the severity is lots of confusing when I get a bug, especially severity is not confusing, but when it like it's major bug or minor bug, so it's really confusing which one I should pick, major and severity and priority mean how impacted this bug is, how my system impact for this bug, and priority mean what I mean, how important to fix it. It have to fix now or it can be delayed. That's a very simple question to me. But if you ask me any example, so let me tell you the very common example, like let's go back to Expedia. If you click where to, and if you pick the any airport, like think about that as there is no airport in shop. So you are stuck. So think about you are trying to pick the Sydney International Airport. So nothing is comes up. So you cannot go back, go further. So there is no transaction. Even you cannot see the price because you are not. So those most severe, and priority you should say number one priority because you have to fix it. And if you go to the uh, think about the if you are getting the go to the you can click, but there is no drop down, but you can manually pick up the Sydney airport. Still there is a customer impact, but it's not block you, so it's not a blocker. So it's kind of a major bug because there is no drop down. You can write it Melbourne airport and something. But nowadays if any customer if he didn't pick the drop down, he will get leave of this website and go to Priceline. So it's really impact your market. So obviously, so those the way I think. And if you go to the more law, like think about that there is a spelling truncated or a picture truncated, airlines picture truncated. Those still are bug, but not impacting that much. So those are minor severity in my sense. So
Yes.
ILS peak, but it's confusing. Still, it's confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct on all the examples that you have given, and your understanding is perfectly fine. Now, when it comes to the actual project and when you have to figure out which severity I'm going to assign to a particular defect, that's where it becomes a bit challenging. And this can be resolved when there is a proper categorization done, and which in most of the cases in organizations will be done if you are following a bit of structured approach. But if not, if you are just one or two people testing an app, then it's your responsibility as a tester to identify the severity accordingly. But like in big organizations, wherever I worked, there was a predefined severity that if this is something like this or of this impact, you assign severity one. If it is of this impact, you assign severity two, so something like that. So we used to have a proper matrix there in terms of severity. Now priority is mostly, product owner or the business person. They'll discuss with you how it is blocking. So priority we don't need to worry about as a tester much, but many places if you are only tester or test lead or a couple of people just doing the testing, that might also come to you. It has come to me a couple of times, like, can you also define the priority along with, because I was the manager there, and can you also take the responsibility of defining the priority? So after the defect triage meeting, we used to have the priority defined as well. So it, in actual real world, I mean, bookish things are different, but actual real scenario, that's what I think you are mentioning now in this interview, and that's what actually happens on the ground level. So really, really good to have those examples from you, Aminul. So let's move on. Can you explain the difference between Jira and Zephyr? I can see, in your resume you have Jira and Zephyr. You have used those. So I just want to understand what is the difference.
Difference between, okay, Jira, basically, Jira is a tools where I can report the bug, and it's a very common tool you can say nowadays in the market. Everyone using it. Most of the people using it. But Zephyr is a plugin. You have to Jira is the way you can, but Zephyr, if you plug in the Zephyr, so you can write easily the test case. So if you want to add the more test case, or if you want to in my sense, if you want to organize your test case and bug reporting everything, so if plug in Jira, it's easy for uh, tester. Basically, it's very helpful for testers where we can organize. So the pretty good answer is Zephyr is a plugin and Jira is a reporting tools, in my sense.
Yeah. So you can just, refine a little bit. So Jira is agile project management tool, and Zephyr is test management plugin for Jira. Just add agile project management with Jira and test management with Zephyr. So Jira doesn't provide you out of the box test management functionality. Because of that, you have a couple of plugins available. So Zephyr is one of it, which will enable test management functionality within Jira, right? And in Jira, you can do, apart from just defects, you can do a lot more things. You can do whole agile project management within Jira. So you can have your requirements, you can have, all the user stories, you can have the workflows to manage the overall Scrum process or Kanban process within Jira. Okay, so just a couple of more points there, but your answer overall, it clarified that the difference, but just add a little bit more statements there to make it very clear to the person. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Can you explain me some of the advantages of agile software development over waterfall?
So waterfall methodology is kind of old, especially in American culture. The most of company before they use a waterfall, so then now they are moved on agile. So if you ask me advantage, so big advantage was people mentioned, but it's true basically. Waterfall is a kind of methodology like a waterfall, step by step, step by step. So there is no way you can communicate with customer at the same time, because waterfall methodology, if you use after everything completed by this is, but agile methodology you can always communicate when it started, when you start coding, everything. A big impact of agile, customer can add anytime in on agile. You can change anytime. There is a continued change process. If you want to say the right way, the agile is possible to continue change process. While waterfall is kind of like you have to wait until release the or until end. So most of the time still people are using waterfall, like here is especially fewer bank, because there is no they have very less chance to use the change on the build, or when in work, when we start a work, there is no way they can change it, because their requirement is clear, it's they made it one time. But for e-commerce, people always want to add, like think about the if anyone any e-commerce website, so they give us requirement like a customer can contact support by phone, so phone number will pop up. But after a few days they change their mind, they say okay, no, add chat with us, add a chat box. So agile is possible, but waterfall no, because customer so the way this continue changing process, if you want to go, I think agile is the best. So and most of the people now using this, it's kind of like you can say now present top on the market of the people using agile. Still there is just a few company using waterfall. That's
Yeah.
my answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely correct there. So if you are very clear on the requirements, as you have mentioned, that bank is clear on what they are trying to build, waterfall suits them very well. And I have worked in with a vendor who are still waterfall. Like just a year ago, I worked with them, and they are into banking domain, and they are completely waterfall, and they haven't switched to agile because waterfall suits them very well. But then I have also worked with the banks, banking sector as well, and there are banks who have moved to agile, especially safe now, so scaled agile. So there are advantages of waterfall, and depending on what context you are in, and there are more disadvantages, I would say, as compared to advantages, because uh, in waterfall you have to basically have the upfront clarity around the requirement, right? And that was the whole point of switching to
Yes, yes.
agile. So agile has continuous feedback loop, so you have shorter iteration, shorter sprint, so like 2 to 4 week cycle, in which you design, develop, build, test, and then you get the feedback. You showcase to the customer, you get the feedback. That was not possible in waterfall because test cycle used to come after a couple of months. And unless and until one phase is completed and logged in or approved, you cannot move to the next phase. That was another biggest disadvantage, right? So some on similar notes, whatever you have mentioned. But yes, there are organizations who are still using waterfall, and it is working well for them because they know what they are trying to build and they have clarity around it. If you do not have too much clarity upfront, agile is the best approach to go ahead with. Okay, shall we move on?
Yes,
Cool. All
yes, go
right.
ahead.
So we are on our last question now. I think it's almost like more than 40 minutes, Aminul. So can you name some of the agile Scrum ceremonies? So you have worked in Scrum. So can you name some of the Scrum ceremonies?
Club ceremony is especially sprint planning. Talking about sprint planning, so we can plan the sprint. Daily Scrum, because we have early morning, we have every day daily Scrum meeting. So everyone join the Scrum meeting and they mention everything. So those things are most two of this, I believe, daily Scrum or sprint planning, and there is a review, iteration review or something.
Mhm.
So those three companies, I believe, the most common one.
Yeah. And there is retrospectives Have you heard of retrospectives as well?
I had, yeah. Retrospective is like a product owner and developer all they are gathered in the same place. Is it this one?
So, sprint retrospective is basically when the overall team, so development team, scrum master, and product owner, so all of the people gather together
Yes,
at the end of the sprint or iteration. So, like after 2 weeks for an hour. And what they
yeah,
discuss is they discuss what went well. So, how the team performed within that particular sprint. So, what things they did very well, what they didn't do very well, and what they need to improve. So these things, all of the team member, they will gather together and they'll provide their input. So usually they have the sticky notes, so they write on the sticky notes their what things went well, what didn't went well, and what needs to improve. And then um, out of those sticky notes or the questions, it's basically open forum, it's discussed. And then there are some action items. Say, for example, there are a couple of things didn't went well. So there will be action items that we need to improve this in the next sprint. So that's what retrospective is, retrospective meeting that happens. So it's end of the sprint. Sprint planning that you mentioned is start of the sprint to plan the work for that 2 weeks. So, right. And then daily stand-ups is 15 minutes, time boxed meeting that happens wherein every person of the team there you get together and you say you know provide the inputs about what you did yesterday, what you are doing today, and if there are any blockers. So why this meeting is required? In case there are any blockers for you, then is there anyone in the team that can help you, or scrum master can help you to remove those impediments or blockers so that you can progress further. Okay. So these are, so we have covered sprint planning, we have covered daily stand-up, we have covered iteration review. So iteration review is again development team, scrum master, product owner, and then it can be project stakeholders as well. So like business people as well. And what happens in the review is basically showcase or demo of what you have built. Okay. So actual working code or working product along with a brief of presentation if possible. So which helps you to gather feedback from the customer or the person who represents the customer, say for example, product owner. They will see what you have built and they'll say, as you mentioned an example, right? No, I don't want this WhatsApp chat thing. I want something else, or I want the phone call functionality there.
yeah,
They can have a look and they can provide you feedback, and based on the feedback you can put it again in the backlog or plan it in the next iterations, which was very difficult in waterfall, right?
yes. This is
Yeah,
very, yeah,
right. So yeah, I think you have covered key ceremonies anyway. So just remember that because these are the ceremonies that if you are following scrum, agile development practice, you will definitely be part of these four ceremonies. Okay. So planning, daily stand-up,
yes.
sprint review, wherein you have the showcase and all, you will be involved
Iteration.
there, and retrospective. So just make sure that you mention these. And nowadays, I think 80% plus or 70% plus, I'm not sure about the exact number, how many, what percentage of companies are moved to agile. But till now, I mean, I'm here in Australia for more than 8 years now, almost 8 years. And I think I've got just one company who's not following agile till now in my 8 years. And then prior to these 8 years, I was in India.
Very less number.
And even in India, I started agile software development in my IBM career, which was, I think, 2008, we started with the agile approaches there. So like just initial couple of years, I worked on V model and a waterfall model. So like it was just initial part of my career where I had exposure to those development approaches. But after that, I've been just working on the agile, Scrum and Kanban. And Yeah, that's what my overall experience is around agile. So it's very, very important that you, when you are working, you just explore a little bit and get a deeper understanding about the ceremonies and how you will answer those questions. All right.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so that brings to the end of this interview, Aminul. Any questions that you want to ask me?
Just thank you. Thanks a lot. Some lot more. Thanks a lot of you. And I believe, yeah, you have off today, so you give me time, and I enjoy the whole interview. And basically, I learn a lot from your lots of presentation on the basically you have a serial presentation about full manual testing covered maybe 10 to 13. So I always follow you. And but thank you again to help the manual testing community. And
Yeah, thank
I
you.
hope we'll get any better service from you. Thank you. Mm.
Yeah, thank you, Aminul.
Thank you, and
And
have a wonderful day.
it was wonderful talking to you. You
And
have
make sure if you visit anytime New York, if you visit New York anytime, please call me and let me know. I'll try to meet you. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely, Aminul. I'll yeah, whenever I'm going to visit US, most probably I'll come down sometime. Uh,
Please let me know.
so I'll definitely let you know. And it was absolute pleasure talking to you. The examples that you have provided in the interview will be really helpful for other people who will be watching this interview, how to tackle and how to basically, come up with the examples when you are going for the interview. So I am very impressed with the examples that you have provided me. If I would have to hire you, I would have definitely hired you, because you just need a little bit of fine tuning, which
Thank
I'm
you.
pretty sure I'll be able to do in just like a couple of weeks with you. And your overall learning process, your willingness to learn new things is the most important aspect that I see. And the way you have answered shows that you have actually worked on things and you are always keen to learn new stuff. So, and I'll keep posting new
Thank
tutorials, videos
thank you for your
for sure for the community, because I love doing that. And this is something which gives me a lot pleasure to basically post it out and help
yeah.
people.
And it's really helpful, especially whoever trying to go in the testing field in US. Your series video is very helpful, and
Yeah,
lots of people. I think you can see the lots of US people commented your video, and they're asking lots of questions. So whoever in the IT field in the US, it's very really helpful. I just let you know that's my compliments. It's helpful for US men testing people. Thank you.
cool. Thank you
Thank
very
you again.
much. Thank you, Aminul. It was pleasure talking to you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.